evening, everyone, and welcome back to the post show here at BC Wrestle Pod. My name is Mikey. I am your connoisseur of all things progress wrestling, and tonight I am here to be talking about Chapter 195, Wonder Brawl 2. Really quickly, we do have someone in the chat really shortly, Joshua Rushing. Hello, Joshua, and thanks for commenting. Appreciate you. But we are here to talk about the latest chapter in Progress Wrestling, but also this is the first Progress chapter that is underneath the new ownership of Nikki Storm and Big Damo since purchasing Progress at the end of May. So that's a whole lot of fun. I'm excited. It's been a while since we had a Progress Wrestling show, post show here at BC WrestlePod. Of course, the last time I was here was back in May when talked about the Super Strong Style 16 tournament, so chapter 194. And we are kicking things off proper for the summer here in Progress with Wonder Brawl 2. So I'm excited. I'm just going to jump straight into everything. Y'all already know the drill. We stream almost every day of the week. You can catch us a good chunk of the time during the week. Social media at BC WrestlePod, merch at our store, bcwrestlepodshop.fourthwall.com. And last but certainly not least, we have a coffee bot to help us pay for the streaming services and these pay-per-views. That'll be in the chat ever so often in Twitch and YouTube, but no pressure to donate because we love you either way. Alrighty, the first thing I do want to talk about really quickly. Well, hello, Riley Clay. So what I am talking about right now is I'm talking about Progress Wrestling, which is a wrestling promotion out of the UK in Europe. And I am talking about their latest show, which they go by chapters. So this is going to be chapter 195, Wonder Brawl. So if you are familiar with Progress, like I said, UK independent wrestling promotion out of Europe. And yeah, I love it. It's fun. And we're just going to jump straight into it. So stick around if you want to hear about Progress Wrestling. There are some people in here that's really fun. And yeah, so let's just do it. So again, I wanted to first talk about how immediately the first thing that I noticed is the camera work. It was still a little wonky, but that is okay under new management. We're trying to figure things out. But I will say the audio issues were fixed and it sounded better. So thank you, new management to Progress, because I can hear people on commentary without bursting an eardrum. And we can hear people talking in the ring as well. So I appreciate that. So let's get into the matches, shall we? Because this is a really fun card for Wonder Brawl 2. So we kick things off, of course, with our opening bout, which sees our men's Super Strong Style 16 tournament winner, Charles Crowley, taking on the Enigma himself of Mr. Scott Oberman. Scott, again, his character has become one of my favorites here in Progress. Very mysterious, very brooding, but it is really, really fun to watch him in his entrance. And he is a proper, heel that the crowd is not 100% behind and boo him. But of course, you're also going to get booed if you were a face because Charles Crowley is one of Progress Wrestling's, he is the darling. People love him. I love our little imp of Progress Wrestling. And yeah, this was a fun match. I do think that this was leaning towards more of Charles Crowley's strengths as a character and as a wrestler. And you know what? Keep his momentum strong because, again, as the winner of this men's Super Strong Style 16 tournament, Charles Crowley has earned his shot at the Progress Men's World Championship at a future date, which we learned at the end of the show when that was going to be. So I will talk about that at the very end. But as far as this match goes, again, I think Scott Oberman has been really growing on me as a talent. I think that his wrestling ability is really fun. It's innovative. And again, he is a proper heel because he does not like the stunts and the tricks that Charles Crowley pulls out because Charles Crowley essentially mixes comedy but also really good as a in-ring ability as well. And there were a few times where Scott Oberman almost got the win over Charles Crowley, but the lovable imp of Progress is able to pick up a victory over Scott Oberman. And I figure he would, given the fact that he is heading towards a collision course for a men's Progress Championship match down the line. Keep the momentum going and keep him winning and keep his record strong going into that match. But I thought this was a really fun opener. Again, like I said, Scott Oberman's character is really fantastic. Charles Crowley continues to be one of my personal favorites here in progress, and this was a strong start to chapter 195. After this match, we get into match number 2, which of course was a tag team match, which seems our frenemies turned besties, Lally, which is Harley Barlow and Lana Austin, taking on the Experience, which is, of course, made up of Night. I keep forgetting her first name. I don't want to say Night Sky because that is the tag team that she is in for Eve. But the Experience is made up of Sky and LA Taylor. So that is the Experience. And this is a fun tag team match. The story going into this match, though, is that Holly Barlow, our lovable little Powerpuff Girl of progress, her story going into this match is that she's had a very long road with Lana Austin. Again, going from frenemies to Holly loving her, but Lana not, to them becoming actual friends. So it's been a really fun journey. And Holly Barlow, she has the heart and she has the drive and she does really well. But the story going into this is that in singles and tag team competition, Holly Barlow cannot get the win. And she was determined to make sure that she got the win in this particular match. I thought this was a really fun back and forth. I will say, because now that I'm also watching Eve as well, watching Lana Austin and Holly Barlow get the reps in as the former tag team champs over at Eve, it definitely helps them here in progress go up against some opponents that they are familiar with as well. This was a fun back and forth. I was pleasantly surprised by how much, even the pace of this match was. I was expecting the Experience to get the majority of the offense in, but this was a lot more 50-50 than I originally thought, and I appreciate that because I didn't know who was going to win. There was some really good close finishes here, and to make it even better, Holly Barlow gets the win for her team, and so Lally wins the match here against the Experience, to the Experience and Lana Austin's surprise. Holly Barlow finally gets her first win in progress, and she is smiling from ear to ear. And again, it's storyline wise, it is paid off because Holly Barlow has come close so many times, but she can never get the win. And she finally got her first win here in progress. So here's hoping to see that momentum continuing. And I'm very interested to see where we take Harley Barlow as a character, but more importantly, what's in store for Lolly. So I'm excited to see how that's going to go. But really good for women's action, really good tag team match. And I really enjoyed this one as well. Moving on to our third match of the evening. This was an interesting matchup. Of course, we have one half of, well, I want to say one half, but it's like more like one third because Jay Joshua is also part of this faction. But we have Nico Angelo, a representative, a member of Diamond Eyes, taking on new to progress, Mr. Tom Thelwell. So the last time we saw Tom Thelwell, he had a really great showing up in a fight against Luke Jacobs back at chapter 193, I believe, or 192, one of those two chapters. And he really impressed me then, and he impressed me in this match too. I really love the presentation of Nico Angelo. I don't know what exactly to pinpoint where his inspiration for a wrestling character comes from. But I do like his entrance gear. I do like the song. I thought the presentation matters to me, and he's great. The in ring was a lot of fun too. I guess my only critique about I have this match, and this is kind of just minor as well. I felt like at the beginning of this match, there was a lot of feeling out between these two. Again, Nico Angelo tends to be a little bit more brutish when it comes to his style, at least from what I've seen. And I'm still new to Tom Thelwell, so I don't have that history. But once we got past the first couple of minutes and they both found their groove, I thought this was a really pretty good, solid in ring match. Again, Tom Thel was getting cheered and the crowd was supporting him as Nico Angelo is a dastardly villain of progress. And I had a good time with this one too. This was another good showing from Tom Thelwell. Unfortunately, he could not get the job done as Nico Angelo would pick up the victory here. And again, I don't really have too much to say on this match. I thought it was very solid. The first couple of minutes was a lot of feeling out. But then once we got past that, the match went smooth and it was really good. And I thoroughly enjoyed it. And Nico Angelo would be making an appearance later, so I'm very interested to see where this is going to go for him and, some of our folks from the main event going into the next couple of chapters for progress. But Nico Angelo picks up the win against Tom Thelwell in our third match of Wonder Brawl. Heading into our fourth match, this was our first championship match of the evening, and this was for the Progress Atlas Championship. This, of course, is the family feud for this chapter. We have the champion and that dirty dog, Gene Money, taking on his identical twin brother, Koga. Yes, they are identical twins. So they look exactly alike. It is crazy, which has been a really fun comedy bit these two have done. And for at least from what I understand from commentary, this also seems to be the final and goodbye match for Koga as his excursion is coming to an end here in progress. This was fun. Again, Session Moth having to play both sides because, both members of the Session Moth family are in this match. And she came out for both entrances, which is hilarious and really, really fun. Shout out to Session Moth Martina, who is also our Eve women champion, which is really, really fun too. But this was a really fun match. There was some comedy bits in here. Again, really good stuff. But Koga, I think, is really good and he's come a long way. And I've really enjoyed him while he's been here in progress, which has been really fun to see. And I'm really gonna miss him. I think he's brought some fun stuff here. But Gene Money, again, I've said it in previous chapters. He doesn't get talked a lot about, but he always does a really good job of helping and training the excursion students when they come to the UK. He's done that so many times with other wrestlers from Japan. And this was a fun, really match. And if this really is the final send off match for Koga, if he's going back to Japan, it was really fun to have him around for the last couple of months. And I've really enjoyed him and Gene Money and the whole Session Moth family together. And the match itself was really, really fun. Gene Money retains the Atlas Championship. And this was if this truly was the send off for Koga, I truly appreciate it, and this was really fun to watch. So I'm gonna miss Koga, but I am excited, and I hope he takes the things that he learned here in progress back to Japan with him. And I'm excited to see where we go next with Gene Money. So after that, we take a little bit of a break, and then when we come back into our second half of the show, we kick things off with two new debuts, I should say, for Progress Wrestling. So Big Dave did an interview about a couple days before Wonder Brawl happened, and he mentioned that he wants to make sure that he uses Progress chapters to also showcase the future of the UK wrestling scene. And this is exactly what this match is. These are two newcomers for me and two new individuals to the Progress faithful. So this is, I'm going to pronounce this wrong. I want to say it's Kyan Noonan and Daz Black going up against each other. They're new to me. They are young. They're young wrestlers out of the UK. Big Damo talks highly of both of them, and when you get earmarked by Big Damo, that's pretty good, and that's a lot of credit. This was I was very surprised of how fast paced this match actually was. There was some really good back and forth action. There was a lot of bodies flying around, and this was a really quick paced, high paced match, and I really enjoyed it because a lot of the other matches weren't too high-paced matches, and this one was like excuse me. I was pleasantly surprised by these rookies, and I was excited, and I'm looking forward to both of them. Kyan Noonan does pick up the victory here. Yeah, man, this was good, and I'm looking forward to seeing these two more in progress, and I hope that they continue to reappear. Especially, I am here for expanding the roster at Progress, but really good outing from both of these new wrestlers here in progress. After this match, we get into our next one, which was probably the funniest match of the entire night. We saw Simon Miller, everyone's favorite internet wrestling darling personality, love the bald man himself. And he was taking on Nathan Black. So I have never heard of Nathan Black before. And he's actually kind of hilarious. I saw the promos leading up to this match on the social medias. And Nathan Black is really funny. He's giving me the same energy as Simon Miller does. And this is fun. And Nathan Black decided he was going to bring the Traders UK star Faraz to here to be a part of this. And he was there as a guest of Nathan Black. The match itself was a little bit shorter than I thought it was going to be. I was entertained though. Simon Miller's great. I like Nathan Black's offense and his demeanor and his character. Nathan Black attempted to try to get one up on Simon Miller by pulling some shenanigans, but Simon Miller was not having it. And so Simon Miller ends up winning this match. After the match, Nathan Black, is with Faraz in the ring and then, attacks him. Simon Miller comes out and Faraz hits a really nice looking cutter on Nathan Black to celebrate. So this was a silly match. This was a silly story that was meant only for Wonder Brawl 2, but I really enjoyed it and this was fun. And Simon Miller is picking up wins again. So here's hoping that we can either send him towards the Atlas Championship or the Proteus Championship that is currently being held by Mr. Paul Walter Hauser here in the United States. But we move on from this match and we get into our semifinal match of the evening, which of course is more women's action. So this is Raven Creed versus Melissa Fierce. So these are two new folks for some of the Progress faithful. I am familiar with Melissa Fierce because she also pops up in Eve. And so I love Melissa over there. So I knew I was going to love her here. Raven Creed is brand spanking new to me here. And again, I love that Progress is bringing in other talent that we are unfamiliar with, especially, and I'm loving it. This was a really good match. I really enjoyed this match. Melissa Fierce and Raven Creed really brought the energy and they really brought it really fun style into this. Yeah, I enjoy it, man. I really love Raven's entrance. I think she's fantastic in the ring. Again, like I said, I'm familiar with Melissa, so she did great as well. What I loved about Wonder Brawl, and I'm going to say this in more detail at the end of the show, is that this felt fresh. It's like a really soft reset of Progress. We still got a lot of the folks that are still here, but I really, really enjoyed this match and I loved it. It was good. Raven Creed does end up picking up the win over Melissa Fierce. But yeah, I want to see more of Raven and Melissa here in Progress. So we got Scorchio coming up in July. So very interested to see what the rest of the matches are going to fill out the card. But let us get into the main event of Wonder Brawl 2. This is for the Progress Tag Team Championships. The Young Guns of Luke Jacobs and Ethan Allen defending their titles against the 0121, which is the team of New Japan star Drilla Maloney, and of course, our former Progress Men's Champion, a man like Derice. Obviously, this was my match of the whole entire card. This was, as the kids say, a banger. This was a lot more hard hitting, and yeah, there was blood. Like, we had the Young Guns and Drilla just oozing blood. They opened up. This was insane. Lots of near falls, lots of innovative offense. And man, this is one of the few moments I wish my other Progress host, Andrew, was here to talk about this because he is my tag team aficionado person. And I'm pretty sure he would have loved this match. Now, is a little bit of contention here because towards the end of this match, none of the teams were aware, but as Ethan Allen was getting up on the top turnbuckle to deliver a finishing maneuver, Nico Angelo came back out and he pushed Ethan Allen out and ran away before anyone realized what had happened. So there's a little bit of contention that none of these four were aware that Nico Angelo pushed Ethan Allen and thus allow the 0121 to hit their finishing maneuver. And your winners and new Progress Tag Team Champions is Drilla Maloney and Man Like Reese. The 0121 are your new Progress Tag Team Champions. So very fun stuff. Really good match. Again, this one was my favorite of the entire night. But I'm very interested to see what happens next with Nico Angelo costing the Young Guns their match, and nobody was aware what happened. Are the Young Guns going to come back after 0121 to get a rematch? Or are Diamond Eyes going to want to get those championship backs? Because the Young Guns were the ones that beat Diamond Eyes for those titles. It's going to be a very interesting summer to see what happens with our tag team championships. But yeah, this definitely is in contention to be one of my favorite matches of the year. So I'm looking forward to talking about it more and revisiting it. But this was a main event, and what a main event it was. Now, before we end the show, that does take us to the end of the post-show portion of our show. But I do have a couple of announcements. So as I mentioned throughout the show, our next chapter, chapter 196, Scorchio, will be happening in July. And we already have 3 matches announced for Scorchio. So the first one was made earlier today after winning his match and, getting called out by Scott Oberman. We're getting Scott Oberman versus Simon Miller at Scorchio. But hold on to your pants, kids, because the next 2 matches are going to be crazy. We are getting both Super Strong Style 16 tournament winners, and they are both getting their championship matches at Scorchio. So, of course, on the men's side of things, we have Charles Crowley cashing in his Super Strong Style 16 win against the current Progress men's champion, Cara Noir. So that match is going to be like theater kid on theater kid fight, and I think it's going to be highly entertaining and really solid stuff. But the match I am looking forward to the most is Best Friends Turn Enemies, our first ever inaugural women's Super Strong Style 16 winner, Rio, will be getting a championship rematch with the current Progress Women's Champion, Alexis Falcon, at Scorchio as well. So, Cara Noir versus Charles Crowley, Alexis Falcon versus Rio, and Scott Oberman versus Simon Miller has been made for Scorchio so far. Also, as an announcement, we got Ricky Sosa, who's going to be competing at Scorchio as well. So that's going to be a lot of fun. And yeah, Progress Wrestling, man, I really enjoyed this first show underneath the new management of Nikki Storm and Big Damo. I really hope that they continue with this because I think, and this is Big Damo has said this in the interview as well that I was talking about earlier, that he wants to build Progress back up to be like a mecca of where all the UK talent crosses over and comes through the doors and has excellent matches for the Electric Ballroom. So yeah, that is going to be it for our show this evening. I will be back towards the end of July to have another Progress post show for chapter 196, Scorchio. But we still got a really fun week ahead of us. Tomorrow night is our final show of the week. Will and I will be talking about some TNA wrestling. So we got that going on. And then next week, we have a really fun lineup. We're going to be talking about New Japan's Dominion. We're going to talk about Eve 150. Then we have our regular schedule shows of AEW, NXT, CMLL, and TNA as well. So really fun stuff. But that's going to be it for me here this evening. Thank you for tuning in for this solo review of Chapter 195, Wonder Brawl 2. And I'm looking forward to seeing what is going to happen next in the world of Progress. But from all of us here at BC WrestlePod to you at home, remember, take care of yourself, love one another, stay iconic, and more importantly than anything, you always deserve to finish your story. We'll catch you later tomorrow for TNA Wrestling, but until then, and until next time, peace.
Thank you so much for tuning in to another Vibe Tribe production. What's gonna happen next time? Well, you're gonna have to tune in to find out. But until then, remember, take care of yourself, love one another, and as always, make sure that you keep the good times rolling. Thank you for being here, and we'll see you next time.